أجواء إيجابية إن شاء الله.
Good afternoon on this December 29th. I'm Yumna Nofal. You're watching the English newscast here on Future Television, and these are today's top stories. The army commits itself to arresting all wanted suspects in the eastern Bekaa region of Baalbek as part of the raids it is carrying out. The Hezbollah delegation pays a visit to Maronite Patriarch Shaddai, where it expresses its commitment to its allies. Change and Reform Bloc MP Michel Aoun in the presidential race. And a group of several hundred Syrians from two besieged towns arrive outside Damascus after passing through Turkey and Lebanon as part of a rare UN-backed deal to evacuate people. Good afternoon to all our viewers. We begin today with the army. The Lebanese army says it is committed to arresting all wanted suspects in the eastern Bekaa region of Baalbek as part of the raids it is carrying out. A security source told the As-Safir newspaper that the military will go ahead with its mission to end in the Sharouna neighborhood and Dar al-Wasa area. It will continue with its arrest and raids against those who have violated security and assaulted the army in order to bring them to justice, it stressed. The army's decision enjoys the cover of the political powers in the area, and it is a product of direct contacts between the military and the Amal, as well as Hezbollah leaderships. The two parties asserted that there will be no political protection to anyone who violated security. Meanwhile, a prominent member of the Jafar clan, Yassin Jafar, condemned Monday's attack against the army in Dar al-Wasa, saying that the family considers the military a red line. A Hezbollah delegation paid visit to Maronite Patriarch Shaddai, where it expressed its commitment to its ally Change and Reform Bloc MP Michel Aoun in the presidential race. Sayyid Ibrahim al-Amin al-Sayyid said after talks, quote, "We will not abandon our commitment to MP Michel Aoun at any political crossroads. We do not accept that others reach a political settlement and then ask us to persuade Aoun to abandon the presidential race." They spoke from Kirki, where media reports had said that Hezbollah would attempt to convince Aoun to withdraw his nominations as president in wake of an initiative to elect Marada movement leader MP Slamine Frangieh as head of the state. "We are in agreement with the Patriarch over the need to elect a new president," continued Sayed. Frangieh's nomination was a product of a proposal spearheaded by future movement leader MP Saad Hariri. The move has sparked tensions between Aoun and Frangieh, with the latter describing his ties with Aoun as abnormal. A group of several hundred Syrians from two besieged towns arrived outside Damascus after passing through Turkey and Lebanon as part of a rare UN-backed deal to evacuate people from flashpoint areas. A source close to the deal confirmed the arrival of over 300 people from the government-controlled towns of Foua and Kafraya in northwestern Idlib province to the Sayyida Zainab area south of the capital. An official celebration to welcome the arrivals was expected later today. The 338 people were evacuated in a deal that saw over 450 fighters, as well as civilians, including wounded people, leave 3 flashpoint areas in Syria as part of a 6-month truce reached in September. The residents and fighters from Foua and Kafraya were evacuated to Turkey, flown to Beirut, and then driven into Syria. At the same time, some 126 people from the rebel stronghold of Zabadani near the Lebanese border, which is surrounded by government forces, were evacuated to Beirut for transfer to Turkey. In Syria, government forces seized a military base controlled by rebels and battled fighters in a key opposition-held town in the south of the country. Syria's state news agency, Sana, said government troops had seized the Brigade 82 base and were clashing with rebels inside the town of Sheikh Miskin in Daraa province. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights Monitor also reported the advances, saying army forces backed by fighters from Lebanon's Hezbollah movement were engaged in fierce clashes backed by airstrikes. The Britain-based group said regime forces took the northern part of Sheikh Miskin on Monday and seized the base this morning. Rebel groups, including Al-Qaeda affiliate Al-Nusra Front, had been in control of Sheikh Miskin and Brigade 82 since last year. Coming up next, the new Star Wars already tops Jurassic World for the biggest opening weekend ever with $529 million globally. Stay with us. We'll be right back. A ship carrying more than 11,000 kilograms of low-enriched uranium materials left Iran for Russia in an Iranian step toward honoring a July 14 nuclear deal with major powers. Under the landmark nuclear accord, certain U.S., European Union and UN sanctions are to be removed in exchange for Iran accepting long-term curbs on a nuclear program that the West has long suspected was aimed at creating a nuclear bomb.
And then finally, there have been a few reports about this in the news, and we just issued a statement in the Secretary's name. But I did want to speak about where we are on progress towards implementation of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action concerning Iran's nuclear program. As the Secretary made clear in his statement, Iran is taking the steps it committed to take to prove to the world its nuclear program is and will remain exclusively peaceful. And while we're not yet at implementation day, the steps already taken have made us and our allies safer in concrete and measurable ways. So one of the most important steps occurred earlier today when a ship departed Iran for Russia carrying over 25,000 pounds of low-enriched uranium materials. And this shipment alone more than triples our previous 2 to 3 month estimated breakout time for Iran to acquire enough weapon-grade uranium for one weapon. So this is an important piece of the technical equation as it ensures an eventual breakout time of at least 1 year by implementation day. A number of countries made valuable contributions to this, making these shipments happen. And the Secretary spoke this morning with his Norwegian and Kazakh counterparts to specifically thank them for their assistance. Iran's also moving forward in removing much of its uranium enrichment infrastructure, as well as removing and rendering inoperable the existing core of the Arak reactor. The IAEA will, of course, verify all these steps and more, and the agency is continuing its own preparations to implement the extensive monitoring and verification regime of Iran's entire nuclear program, as specified in the JCPOA. We'll continue to consult closely with both the IAEA and other P5+1 partners as we move toward verification by the IAEA that Iran has met all of its key nuclear commitments.
Israel's top court upheld a bribery conviction against former Premier Ehud Olmert, which will make him the country's first former prime minister to serve jail time. The 70-year-old, who was prime minister from 2006 to 2009, was sentenced in May last year to 6 years in prison on 2 separate charges of taking bribes in the early 2000s. The Supreme Court reduced his sentence to 18 months in prison and acquitted him on one of the charges. Olmert has been acquitted of the felony of taking a bribe of $128,500, the decision read, but unanimously convicted of the felony of taking a bribe of 60,000 shekels. The sentences will be for 18 months, beginning on February 15th, according to the decision reached by 5 justices. The trial of the former premier was linked to the construction of Jerusalem's massive Holy Land residential complex when Olmert served as the city's mayor. U.S. Republican presidential hopeful Donald Trump told supporters he wanted to be unpredictable in a speech for supporters in New Hampshire, while competitor Jeb Bush said he wanted a chance to debate Trump one-on-one. Before a boisterous crowd in Nashua, Trump lambasted the local paper, calling its publisher a lowlife, dug into his fellow candidates, and, of course, criticized U.S. President Barack Obama to the boos and calls of supporters. Trump said he believed Obama would try to use an executive order to repeal Americans' rights to bear arms.
I think he's going to try and do some kind of an executive order on the Second Amendment, just based on what I'm feeling and what I'm seeing. And I'll tell you what. That's going to be a rough one, because there's nobody more impassioned than the people that believe strongly in the Second Amendment. I want to be unpredictable. I want to be General Patton. I want to be General Douglas MacArthur. We want to go in. We don't want them to know what the hell we're doing. We have to go in, and a lot of people love it when I say that.
You can't insult your way to the presidency. That's never happened in the past, and it won't happen now. And so, look, it's been a little bumpy ride since in the post-12 era. People are deeply anxious and angry about Washington, D.C. not working. And so I respect that and I understand that, but I want to win. And the only way you win is to recognize that to win, you got to get to 50. To get to 50, you have to draw people towards your cause rather than push them away. And so we've got work to do in that regard. One particular candidate comes to mind. Say, Donald, I'll take you on one-on-one in a debate. Anytime, any place. You name it, and I'll do it.
The cast and crew of Star Wars: The Force Awakens spoke to media in Shanghai just after the film's premiere, hoping Chinese audiences will soak up the film, which has already broken box office records. The Force Awakens debuted in Shanghai just a few days ago. Director J.J. Abrams told media that the film is entirely new material, but rests on a powerful foundation for the storyline. The new Star Wars has already topped Jurassic World for the biggest opening weekend ever, with $529 million globally.
This movie is very much its own thing, about new characters, but it rests on something that is very powerful and has been here for a long time. So it's a brand new thing, a brand new story with new characters, but it is in a world that George Lucas created quite a while ago. It's something that was very powerful to me as a kid, and hopefully people will feel a little bit of that when they see The Force Awakens.
It's almost so overwhelming, it's difficult to really process just what the response has been to the movie so far, and it hasn't even opened here yet, which certainly we're hoping and anticipating that it will play very, very well here.
Unanswered questions that you don't want to go through 6 movies about, you have Rey and Finn. They ask the questions that you want to know.
Okay.
Is Luke real? Who's Han? All this stuff. And it's great the way JJ and Larry did that, because it gives you an avenue as someone who hasn't watched a Star Wars movie before, to be able to walk the steps of these new characters, but at the same time learn about this galaxy and this universe. So I think it's great for people who don't want to go back and watch 6 movies. It's good to just start with Force Awakens.
And I don't know if you've seen the film yet, but watching BB-8 is amazing. Like, you know every single thing that he's portraying. So working with him was fantastic. And then I found it harder working with the humans, because I was like, oh, I could deal with you. I don't know about this thing. Yeah.
The dark side. A Jedi.
It's calling to you.
This marks the end of our bulletin for today. Now for a reminder of our headlines. The Army is committed to arresting all wanted suspects in the eastern Bekaa region of Baalbek as part of the raids it is carrying out. A Hezbollah delegation pays a visit to Maronite Patriarch Shaddai, where it expresses its commitment to ally Change and Reform Bloc and Pin Sharon in the presidential race. A group of several hundred Syrians from 2 besieged towns arrive outside Damascus after passing through Turkey and Lebanon as part of a rare UN-backed deal to evacuate people from flashpoint areas. Those are your Tuesday headlines live on Future Television as we count down the days to the new year. Have a great holiday, and we'll see you again tomorrow.
الأجواء إيجابية إن شاء الله.